What's up, dudes? Spoiler warning, we're probably going to get some Arnold Jenkins music for the finals for NASL, which would be sweet. We're working on that right now. So, you watched the event, which was a lot of fun. This is a bit of a lighter episode today, because I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break until I start back workout tomorrow with NASL. But the MLG Fall Championship was a lot of fun, and the majority of the power of that tournament was definitely the games, which, you know, it should be. And pick a series, you know, Naniwa versus Flash, Flash versus Life, Life versus Lenok, all of them incredible. And funny enough, in the past, having the extended series has been a little bit of a killer for storylines, right? I mean, just a little bit. You still get to see some dramatic, you know, play styles unfold, but watching those back to back to back, I mean, Life. This is a rumor, and I can't confirm this, but I heard this from somebody. Life was using a keyboard that when you hold down R, which you use R to make roaches, when you hold down R, it would only make the roaches 5 times. It would only register the R key being hit 5 times, then it would stop. All right. So once he was able to figure that out, he just pressed the R key just a bunch of times, and that's how he's able to make roaches and come back and beat Lenok. I mean, that's just what I heard, guys. So I heard that from a pretty good source. But one of the issues with Koreans coming over for the first time to any kind of foreign event is the drivers on their peripherals, on their keyboards, on their mice, and that's a little difficult to plan because a lot of times the keyboards are not even manufactured in the U.S. or available in the U.S. at first, and so we have them send their drivers beforehand and whatnot, the admins and everyone else. I don't take care of that stuff. As a production assistant back from last year, that was one of the issues we had when the Koreans first came, like Losira's keyboard, which stopped working in a match against In Control, and so he was only able to use his mouse and still had like 142 APM using his mouse alone. So it's something that I can trust that was true when it came to Life, but he adjusted and we saw the result. So a huge congratulations to him. The GSL champion, Royal Rotor, taking out MVP and then defeating Flash twice, in the extended series, and then taking out Lenok, 2-time MLG champion, at his first event. His first event. It reminds me of Lenok from last year at Providence. I believe it was Lenok's first event. He rolls through the open bracket and is able to win. Now, if Lenok won the event, I would have asked him, obviously, this is incredible, the first one ever to win MLG 3 times, but this is his first time winning seeded. When he would go into the open bracket, he did phenomenal. He would win the whole thing 2 times with Providence and then in Raleigh. But when he was seeded, he didn't do as well. So he was the #1 seed coming into this tournament, and he did very well. We'll talk a lot about the StarCraft 2 portion of MLG. I just want to tip my hat to the other games that were there, to the other content providers, the streamers, the production crew, everyone that was involved, and they all thoroughly believe that it was a great event. And I'll go through the chat here in a couple minutes to answer you guys' questions. I just wanted to name off the stats of who won what game. First place for Halo 4, a game that hasn't been released, or was not released, but it did release today. So people are going out and voting and then grabbing their copies of Halo 4. Went to Warriors for $20,000. And second place went to Ambush. They won $10,000. And third place, Status Quo, with $6,000. Fourth place to Legendary for $4,000. And then let's move on to League of Legends. There were a lot of people at the League event. Not a big surprise. Anaheim, there were a lot of people as well. In Raleigh, there was a lot of people. But somebody said this to me, and I believed them because I sort of noticed it as well, is that there was probably more people there for StarCraft 2 than there was for League, just in person. Stream numbers wise, I believe it was higher for League of Legends, but StarCraft 2 performed very well online, so there's not, this whole StarCraft 2 dying thing. It's just, don't trust everything that's on the internet. With League of Legends, though, the seats were packed for longer intervals of time, but that's because they didn't have a player pit like StarCraft 2 does. They don't have a feature stage like StarCraft 2 does. And I would notice whenever I was on stage or walking around or getting updates of what was happening in the open bracket, you could see people way back there, stretched way back there, watching different matches. And, I mean, one of the biggest complaints we heard from the internet was there's so many great matches that are not being streamed. Well, people that were there in real life were watching those matches. And that's why you didn't see a lot of them sitting in seats, because they wanted to catch those matches that were happening live, standing behind the players. And I wish we had a camera and I could be out there to highlight that stuff, guys. And Suppy made a very great post, a very long blog post, and, you know, he thought out a lot of things. But I've talked about this for over a year. Different people have been talking about this for over a year. So when he was writing down his ideas, like, Suppy, this has already like been presented a number of times, you know, either behind closed doors or over the internet or even on this show. You can go back and watch the VODs. So I'm glad he's on board of what we're trying to do. But it really, guys, it comes down to budgets. And I know that's a really simplistic answer. And I could highlight every good thing and every bad thing of using volunteers. I mean, volunteers are fantastic, but when you have a live production crew and a standard of quality and stuff, you know, there's a lot of things that you can't just say, well, you guys can do it for free. There's also, I feel very guilty asking anybody to do anything for free anymore in esports. People that work in esports are almost doing it for free. I mean, a lot of people don't get that much money. So, and that's my opinion, of course, but I do know that the details that will happen, that will be released in December about what MLG is trying to do for the 2013 season, I think they're going to be steps in the right direction. I have no real concrete details I can explain or tell you guys that's public, but MLG knows. They know that there are these issues, okay, because I brought it up to them many, many times, and it's just trying to find the correct solution with the correct amount of money and that is sustainable. You know, because if we do it once, we don't want to say, well, it was really great, but it was way too expensive, we can't do it again, because it's not really fair to anybody, really. So we want to do it right the first time, or as well as we can the first time, and then improve upon it. The Community Caster program was a great program. I helped head that up back in the day, back in 2011, and that's how I was able to discover people like Tumba and Adabeezy and Axel Toss and Robin and Ian Shinka. I mean, all like 4 or 5 of the guys that are going up for IPL. Kibbles was part of the Community Caster program. So look at where these guys are. You know, look at where they are now. The Community Caster program definitely helped them, and it helped the community show off games that were not streamed. So we had access to those games. I cannot speak for MLG. I do not know what is going on with that program anymore. I don't. Should it still be around? I mean, there should be something to highlight the amazing games that happened in the open bracket. There really should be. Or even group play that was not aired. So hopefully a solution will come. I'll do whatever I can in my power to make it available. But as far as my power, I can merely suggest things. Other people have to make the decisions. But I do miss the Community Caster program. But, you know, the mission of it, if you take a step back, was a success because it found very talented people that maybe did not have as much exposure yet, but they got the exposure, they got the recognition, and look at where they're at now. So I feel it was a success, but there needs to be something to highlight the games that happened. Ideally, I would love to have a couch. I would love to be out there in the open bracket and highlight continually. Maybe have my own stream that could just switch to whenever we have crowd shots. Just go to me and I'm interviewing this player. We're going over a replay there live. Like, hey, you just won this match against MC. Let's look at the third game where you did this amazing drop. You know, and look at it specifically there. I would love to do that. I've suggested that for the past 6 months, but it just hasn't happened yet, guys. So, you know, I've thought about having my own camera crew, like a day before, and interviewing players and stuff like that. So all these things have been suggested. People at MLG know about it, but it's just they're the ones that have to make the decision to implement it. So, moving on, besides that, let's talk about League of Legends. Anyways, so the point I was getting to was in the finals, there was so many people sitting down for StarCraft 2, and I knew it was going to be like that because that's happened so many times at previous events. You know, they're spread out, they're watching their different players, they're watching their favorite players, or maybe taking pictures with players, but in the finals, they are in their seats. And it was magnanimous, it was amazing. And another thing that kind of helped too is the fighting games and League of Legends finished before the finals, and I could see people from League of Legends who were looking at their screens start turning their heads over to watch StarCraft 2. And the amount of people that were there was fantastic. It was really good event. It's a really good crowd. And again, I didn't feel the crowd was mic'd properly. This is another thing I've suggested, and I've talked to NASL too. And we're going to be in a smaller venue in a theater, and that's a big thing that I brought up with the producers. The crowd has to be mic'd. They have to be mic'd in order for the experience to translate over to people watching it on the camera. Because sometimes it's just me going, like in a microphone, and people think it's, cheesy. I don't think it's cheesy. The live crowd doesn't think it's cheesy at all. It's incredible. The energy, everybody's going crazy. It's amazing. It feels right to do it. And, it's another small thing that you can overlook it, but it actually adds so much to the event. Quantic Promise says, from a viewer at home, it makes you feel like you are there when you hear crowds cheering and getting excited. Yes, it does. It's actually the emotional resonance, music-wise, of bass that it communicates to your body, to your emotions of, whoa, something's happening. It's almost like in a battle when you hear horses from far away or somebody marching far away, you can feel that something big is happening and you get amped up. And then you hear the crowds, the cheer, you hear the treble, the high resonance of the noise. And that gets you fired up. That will alert your senses of, oh, there's something amazing happening here. And yeah, I mean, people turn when they hear the crowd. And the crowd was great. They were so good. And it was so much fun to hype them up. I got to hype them up twice off stream. One was for the Flash Life match, and of course for the finals, which I love to do. And so many people are like, "Clutch, dance for us, dance for us." I was like, "I'll dance for you guys sometime." And then I just did it right before the finals just to placate them a bit, because they always want to see the Clutch dance. And they got to see me beatbox, thanks to Tempo, which was not rehearsed. That was not rehearsed. I had to grab Tempo. Well, I grabbed Tempo because there was an issue with lag, and we were trying to fill time. So I asked him, "Hey, man, you want to be interviewed real quick?" He's like, "Yeah, sweet, sure." And we were walking backstage. I said, "If I drop a beat, are you going to freestyle for me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And so we started talking, had a really good interview, and we had to close, the interview with that. And so I started, just beating, and he flowed beautifully. It was great. It was awesome. And so many people on Reddit were like, "That had to be rehearsed, That's not." And I was like, "No, man, that was magic. That was magic with Tempo." So I appreciate Tempo. And the other thing too that was really funny that I read on Team Liquid that went over my head completely. I did not think about this. This was not premeditated. This was not some quota that MLG had to make. But I was reading through Team Liquid a little bit, and it said affirmative action clutch. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have interviewed every African American that is in the StarCraft 2 community in the matter of 20 minutes, like in the crowd. And I didn't realize it. I never even thought about it. Never went in my mind, like, these guys are they're players or community members. So I just thought that was a little funny thing that somebody noticed. And I was talking to Thunder Toss about it, and we were laughing for about 15 minutes about it. So I'm really glad that they were very available to be interviewed, and we got to highlight members of the community that add to the community, guys. They may not be the top players yet, or there may be a coach like Thunder Toss, or an entertainer, but that's all part of the experience. That's part of our community. Not everybody can be a player, and this esports is about the games, and it's about entertainment. And when you put them together, that's how you have a great show. And I'm grateful that they took the time to be interviewed. So, back to League of Legends, because that was a big segue here. Azubu Blaze, Korean Domination, wins with a $16,000 check going home. Second place went to Najin Sword, a team that actually I knew the least amount about. And third place went to CLG EU, $4,000, and $2,000 CLG Prime. And that's it for League. I know the League community on Reddit was a bit butthurt about a lot of games not being shown. Sorry to those guys, but I heard that there was a pretty good show, and Azubu Blaze performed very well. And I heard a lot of cheers, especially Friday, for TSM. A lot of people were cheering for TSM. All right. I know, Jai White, SC2. SC2 missed out a lot, too. Okay, so let's talk about StarCraft 2. First place winner, Life 25 $1,000. Amazing, amazing, amazing player. Okay, $15,000. Leonot did a fantastic job. Almost got the third title, MLG title. It's funny though. I talked to him at the after party a little bit, and he's, you know, his English is getting a little bit better. And I said, "Oh, so close, man, so close to 3 times, but good job, second place." And he like did his like super bummer face, like he was super disappointed. But I told him, "No, great job." And I told Rain, I'm still learning Korean, guys. I don't know what great job means in Korean, so I had to look it up on my phone. And I told Rain and Sue, "Great job." You know, they performed very well. And it was a bummer that they had to get a team kill. Flash, the ultimate weapon, third place, $7,250. Bomber, third place. Him and Flash tied third, fourth, $7,250. Another great event for Bomber. He was the champion at, oh man, Raleigh 2011. He was the champion at that event. Performed very well. Hart, fifth place, $3,500. Rain, fifth place, $3,500. Tasia, seventh, $2,250. Wong Sin, seventh. The man Wong Sin, $2,250. Wong Sin also won the Big Flexible Razors Breakout Player Award. Before this event, the highest he had placed in an MLG was 29th. So definitely performed very well. There's a couple people that were complaining online about his match with ECY? No, ECY. Why am I not getting the acronym right? Somebody help me out in chat. Daisy. Is it ESY Icy Box? ESC, yes. Okay, my mind was right the first time. ESC Icy Box Daisy. Thank you. European team, but Korean player. He was late over the allotted time for his match against Wong Sin. And Wong Sin took the walkover, which he's perfectly right to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people were coming up to him and saying, like, hey, Daisy showed up, even though he's late, so you should play the match. You should play the match. And Wong Sin's like, yeah, I already took the walkover. I need to focus on my other match. I need to move on. And his other match was up against Oz. So it's an unfortunate situation. It's an unfortunate situation. But saying that, oh, it's the honorable thing to EYTAY. I don't know the exact information, my friend. I just have heard from admins and other people that he was late. Okay, bringing up or trying to assault Wong Sin and saying you did something that was dishonorable. It's like, no, the honorable thing is to be on time. That's the honorable thing. And it's up to the player's discretion to do that. So I can't fault Wong Sin. Some people will have the opinion that, you know, he should have played him, or maybe he should have took the one game win or whatever. But you can't like have a record saying Wong Sin did something wrong. It's not going to be on the record, but it's because that's the rules. What's unfortunate is that there should be some changes in the actual format of the whole tournament, and I'll agree with that. I think if I was in charge and I had unlimited funds, there would be this lounge area for all the players that would have sandwiches and TV and to watch the matches, and they could sit down and just chill away from the fans for a little bit and be ready for their matches. We've outgrown the format that is MLG. It's too much right now. But besides that, people want to complain, event on Reddit, whatever, they have their right to, but I won't fault Wong Sin at all. He's totally fine. It's in the rule books of MLG. And he beat Oz, so congrats to him. Did great. I'm cheering for him for IPL, and if he makes it to the NASL finals, good for him too. So good job, Wong Sin. Good job. Tasia, 9th place, $1,500. Oh, I'm sorry. Tasia was before. Polt, 9th place, $1,500. And Solkey, 9th place, $1,500. And Oz, 9th place, $1,500. And Naniwa, 9th place, $1,500. 13th went to Golden for $1,000. And Sue for $1,000. Violet for $1,000. Sue's mentioned twice here. PlayStation All-Stars, which was a game that was not released yet, had an exhibition kind of format event. So $2,500 went to Goofiers, which was one of the players. And then it breaks down into different players. So second place, 1,500, Monkey Boy. Third place, 700, Token Hero. And fourth place, 300, Stolen Unicorn Seed. That's the guy's name, Stolen Unicorn Seed. Is he going to try to inseminate something? I don't know. Make sure he stays away from horses. Okay, Mortal Kombat 9, my favorite fighting game. Dominated a lot by the North American scene. REO, $6,000 goes to him. Second place, Maxter, $3,600. Third place, Pig of the Hut, one of the MLG champions of the past, I believe, at one of the arenas, $2,400. Dizzy, $1,600. 16-bit, $1,000. Crazy Dominican, $1,000. MIT, $550. DJT, $550. JDCR, winner of the Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Korean player. Korean domination happening in fighters now as well. JDCR wins. Takes home $6,000. Help me. $3,600. No, don't help me. That's the name of the player. Anakin. $2,000 goes to him. Third place. Fourth place, Saint, $1,200. Kane, $700. Little Manjin, $700. Kayal, $400. Shinblade, $400. And that does it for the Pro Circuit games. PlanetSide 2 was also this event. So was Shoot Mania. I don't know if they had any prize pools. They're just showing off the games. But, yeah, there was also an issue, I heard, with Rhett and Crank with a scheduling thing. It's very disappointing to hear about that too, guys. It's when I hear that from other people or talk to other people about it, it's like, if I had a time machine, I'd love to go back and fix this, you know. It's just unfortunate. Anyways, since this is a light show, I'm probably just going to go the hour, and the time is now your guys's. So if you'd like to call in, hit me up on Skype, JG Clutch. Opinions, facts. If you want to rant a little bit, you can, but I'll probably shoot you down and say that, you know, you're dumb. No, I won't say that. Anything, or type it up in chat. Please start asking away. But I'm going to take my first call here from David. You are on Shifting Gears. Hello.
Hello, Clutch. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, man, Clutch. There is so much to talk about. And I could take up all the time, but I've picked one thing to get you started out with the calls. So,
okay.
I think the one thing that set the tone for the entire MLG was the opening StarCraft match of Grubby versus Flash. And I wanted to ask you, how did it feel to be on stage when Grubby decided to, you know, try to take the blood from the god himself, and then the god came back and he was like, I will crush you underneath my foot. How did you feel in that moment?
Well, weeks before, or about a week, 2 weeks before, I knew that this was going to be the first match. Once I knew that, I told Puckett, I told MLG, we have got to do an intro. I don't care if you guys have it scheduled that it has to start right away. We're doing an intro. We have to. Because we have to honor these two legends from two previous Blizzard titles that are now meeting on the MLG stage on the StarCraft 2 battlefield for the first time in this format. I mean, they had played before in the MVP, but this was the first time they were going to be there live. So I talked to both of them about it. Grubby was all right. You know, I'll say something a little controversial. I was like, all right, man. As long as it's, you know, as long as it's respectable. They both know that. I mean, it's in good fun, but it's also to hype the crowd. It's to entertain the crowd. It's to add to the complete package that is a live tournament. And I had no idea what they were going to say. No idea. You know, I told Wani the questions I was going to ask, so Flash knew what to answer or what I was asking Grubby. And when Grubby, you know, when he made that look at Flash and he was saying, you know, I will draw first blood. I'll draw the first blood and show the world that a god can bleed. And he did his little slash. I was taken back. And that, to me, some people was like, oh, that was corny. No, that was cool, man. That was cool. Anytime players show that sort of personality, it's all in good fun, but it brings up, it adds to what's at stake. It's not just the money, guys. It's not just the money. It's personality and reputation. You know, it's bragging rights between these players. It's fame. It's glory. And that was definitely accentuated from Grubby. And Flash simply saying what he said in Korean. And people that spoke Korean were like, oh, in the crowd before Wani even translated. And said, crush him. That's all he said. Crush him. They shook hands. It was so cool. So cool. Perfect way to start out the event. So standing on that stage, it was a tremendous amount of respect for both players, and I felt that this was another moment in esports history. Two legends, two different games. We're now meeting in the flagship Blizzard game when it comes to esports, StarCraft 2, the best RTS out there, and my favorite esports game and my favorite video game to play. It's so hard to play. It really is, and to see what these guys can accomplish. It means so much, and it meant so much to people that are fans of esports, fans of these two players. It was huge. So that's what it meant to me. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for calling in. We'll take a next caller here. Let's see if they can call me again. Sorry, guys, if I don't answer, obviously, because I have another call. But go ahead and start calling again. You can just call me in contacts. You don't have to actually add me in Skype. It's a little bit easier. And if you have any questions in Twitter, what league am I in? I was Diamond, but now I'm Platinum because I've been playing a lot of other stuff, and I'm actually switching to Zerg for Heart of the Swarm and getting my butt kicked to Zerg. It's like a different game playing a different race, which is awesome. Aaron, you're on Shifting Gears. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well.
Awesome. I actually have a non-MLG question for you. I'm kind of wondering, because you started recently at NASL, can you kind of tell us what you're doing with them and how you like it so far, and if there's anything you can kind of tip us with that might be interesting coming up? Or
Well, I started with NASL a month ago. Moved out to California, live in Rancho Cucamonga, where the studio is. What I do is a lot of different stuff. Working behind the scenes in the office, working with the VOD system, and working with the production crew with planning. There's 3 different segments that I write and produce: the SEA update, Up to Speed, and also the Esports Challenge. And doing those on a weekly basis. Plus, I intro the show, I intro the players, and I'm used as a host as well. Lauren Elise is the host, and then I'll come out to host or bring up some different segments or talk about some of the player storylines that are starting to develop. And right now we're in planning mode too for the finals. Obviously, we still have week 9 to get through this week. And then we have the opens, which players that were not able to make it to the divisions will have a side open tournament, which they will be able to compete in, and that will go into the wildcard system in the playoffs. Ken Silva, who's the new admin, knows all the workings with that. But if you know any players that want to join that, I believe they still have time to sign up. So that's what we're working on right now. The finals are going to be December 8th through 9th at the Center Theater in Long Beach. The capacity is over 800 people, but it's limited. So if you want to get your tickets, you guys have got to go to the website, nasl.tv, and sign up. And we're going to make it the best we can make it. And I think having it at a theater will be a little bit different, but in a good way compared to convention center. There's different things that you can do when you have a space that you can control more, and especially when the seats are locked in and more comfortable for people. And that's everything that I can tell you of what's going on in NASL. It's great. I really enjoy it. A lot of people came to me at MLG and say they really like NASL. They've seen its growth. They really like the show. People from fans to players really enjoy it, and I think it's a very, very good format to have for a weekly broadcast, 5 nights a week broadcast, to really accentuate a lot of storylines that build into the finals. So.
Cool. Well, I wish you the best.
All right. Thanks for your question.
No problem. Bye.
Nice dude, Aaron. Okay, answered that question. Just looking through chat to see if somebody asked me something earlier on. If I miss it, guys, go ahead and retype it. If you noticed, okay, I might get in trouble for saying this, but